Today's voiceover talent is more than just a pretty voice.
Pretty voice.
Today's voiceover talent has to be a boss.
A boss.
Join us each week for business owner strategies and success with your hosts Ann Ganguza and Gabrielle Nistico, along with some of the strongest voices in our industry.
Rock your business.
Rock your business.
Rock your business.
Like a boss.
Like a boss.
Rock your business like a boss.
Rock your business like a boss. A VO boss.
A VO boss.
A VO boss.
Hey, welcome everybody to the VO Boss podcast. I'm your host, Ann Ganguza, along with my entrepreneurial bossy bestie, Gabby Nistico.
What's up?
Gabby Nistico, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, I got an email.
Only one?
Yeah, I got one.
Just one email. Okay.
From a student that was just starting off and was talking to me about goals. And one of his goals was to triple his income by the following year and quit his job and go full-time into voiceover. How many times have you heard that? It's a tough one. Gabby, how do you respond to that? Do you know? Because I never want to crush people's goals. I get the motivation. I get, wanting to be like, yes, I'm going to do this, and the drive and the motivation to really become successful, and I love that. However, I think there needs to be a realistic approach and understanding of the industry.
Look, I'll be the first to admit it. I have no idea where some of it came from. I don't know how it started. I have no clue. All I know is that there's a whole slew of people who think that they're going to have a second career, second life with voiceover. And while I think, many of them will, I don't know how realistic some people's expectations are. And if they're really thinking about all of what goes into it and the investment.
Or those who will retire and say, I want to be able to retire and do voiceovers full time.
Yeah.
Look, I worked in the corporate world for a good number of years with a pension. And my husband had a pension from his last job and then his current job. So we're kind of well on our way. And even that for us, I'm worried about money when we retire.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do, too, with what your previous experience or job was. I have a student right now who is a stand-up comic who's on the road, damn near 300 days out of the year. And he does very well for himself on that circuit, but his goal is to eventually not be on the road all the time and to be able to make a living from home. And so he's looking to voiceover for that. As a performer and a stand-up comic and someone who has a performing background, that's not a crazy leap. There's a connection there that makes sense.
Sure.
I get worried, though, when people are like, I've been an ophthalmologist for the last 30 years. And
I'm going to quit to do voiceover full time.
Yeah, I'm like, oh.
I think, Gabby, what's really important here is that we take a look at the market, the industry, and the market demand. Sometimes people they have that dream and they're like, and even if you're amazing at voiceovers, right? You could be in the booth for 8 hours a day doing amazing voices. I still think it's wise for you to step back and take a look at what the market demands. I always make the reference to the music industry, and there's so many different industries. But remember when we would buy records and CDs, and there was a market for that. There was money in that. And then MP3s came along. And then the market shifted, and so now there had to be a new way to make money, right? To create that service, or that market had to demand the service or the product in order for you to make money.
Oh, yeah. Look, it's the same way we see so many people who, men especially, big, deep, resonant, beautiful voices who, everyone tells me I should be doing this. Mm-hmm. And yet, when they finally kind of open their eyes and ears to what's actually happening in voiceover, they go, oh, you mean guys like me aren't getting any work?
Right. They're not as in demand as they used to be. So
why
there's
does everybody
trends.
Tell me I should be doing this if my voice isn't even getting hired right now? And a lot of it has to do with people, again, not being on trend. and going by
Market
old
demand.
information.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was the
Market
market demand 25 years ago.
Well, I'm always saying, in a world of text to speech and synthesized voices, I think ultimately I want to be that person that has the most amazing acting human voice, because ultimately I'll be the one that's different, right? And then maybe that will come in style. I think there's going to be some shifts in what the market is looking for in terms of voiceover, and I think we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to really look hard and gauge what you think the next 5 to 10 years might bring in this career.
A big part of it simply has to do with how you market yourself.
Yeah.
People get really wrapped up in their voice and what they do and their product. And that is not what it's about.
That's right. It's about who's buying it, right? Yeah. And what their needs are.
Their needs are.
We have to say it in a bunch of different ways, Gabby, I think, because it applies in so many aspects and avenues of what we do on a daily basis. You could be in your booth all day creating voices, animation voices, but if nobody has the demand for that particular voice at the time, you're not going to make a sale.
No, we can pull a little bit from other industries, right? So photography is a great instance of this. You can be out there telling people, showing people, I take great pictures. I take beautiful pictures. Look at this beautiful picture I took. That means nothing to them until you can apply it to their application. Until you can go, I can capture your wedding. Now I care.
Or you create something that strikes them emotionally, right?
Yes.
And again, it becomes like, oh my gosh. I think it's funny because you mentioned that about photographers, and I see a lot of people who take amazing pictures. Don't get me wrong. But there is one person that takes pictures of my hometown, and he's amazing. Now, technically, is he any better than any other great photographer out there? Maybe not. But what he's done is he's got a subject matter and a way of doing it that has captured my heart, and that to me is like worth money. That is like, I will pay you for that photo. And I've never ever been that captured. And so I think that's where we need to be with our voiceover, with our services, what we offer somebody. They have to be just captured by what it is in such a way that nothing else will do.
And I do believe, though, the marketer in me believes that a lot of that can be in how we position ourselves, how we express what we do, how we speak the language of that client. It kind of ensures that regardless of your voice type, you can always evolve and continue to have a career by simply adjusting how you present.
Yeah, I think it's a connection that you make with the client, just as you connect with the content in your voiceovers, in your auditions, and that's what we are all trained to do, is to make that connection with the copy. You're going beyond the copy, making the connection to the company, to the person, that you will make yourself indispensable to, or, will somehow capture it so that they say, I don't care, I need Gabby, or I need Anne, or I need whoever it is, and I don't care what it is. Again, I'm always saying I have particular brands and products that I buy because of that.
That's also where market demand changes, and we get into the whole conversation about you will always, always, always have a select group of shoppers in any category that are not bargain hunting, that want the elite, they want the best, they're willing to spend the money on it. And to them, it's not a sacrifice. They are investing in something. And that's ideally the buyer that we want.
It's amazing how many parallels there are in marketing and in our own performance-driven, right, service-based voiceover. How really you've got to you've got to understand the client need. You have to be able to fulfill that need in a way such that there is no other alternative.
I mean, I know that there are going to be plenty of people out there, especially like if you do audiobooks, you're going to hate me for this and stick your tongue out at me, and that's fine. But we as an industry survive and are here because we are a subset of marketing. We are part of that mechanism, that machine of marketing and advertising. So if we don't understand that world and how that process works, we can't make ourselves indispensable to it.
Well, exactly. You have to understand what the market is asking for and then position yourself in front of that.
Yeah. Even for the people out there who like the audiobook crowd that might be going, that's not how this works. I'm not part of that world. Well, yeah, you are. Because don't think for a second that there are not trends in the marketing of books and publishing.
Oh, goodness,
and every industry is subject to this. So anytime you are a conduit or you are a go-between from the company to the audience, you're part of it.
So I keep going back to the whole, what is going to happen to our industry with synthesized voices or AI and that sort of thing. And I really believe, again, the market is going to demand a certain style. The market will be okay with a certain style. Mm-hmm. And we have to understand what the market is demanding so that we can then acclimate ourselves to that and offer it. Otherwise, our businesses won't survive. And that's true for any entrepreneurial endeavor. It's not just voiceovers, it's anything. And technology is always the devil, it seems to be in this case, right? People are always like, technology is the devil. But, you know,
dumb.
Again, I just think technology is amazing. And ride the wave, people. That's what I say. Ride the wave. Ride the edge. Ride the bleeding edge. Because if you don't, you know, it's going to leave you behind.
It will. But it's also about adapting and
Mm-hmm.
understanding where and how you can adapt. So I was having this thought the other day. Every now and then, I meet male voice actors that can do female voices and female voice actors that can do male voices. And it's always a little bit odd, right, from a character performance standpoint.
Yes.
Now, there's very little application for those. Because why? I mean, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just hire someone of that gender?
Right.
It's a little strange. Yet, there are some celebrity examples that people can look to, and there are shows like Bob's Burgers where there's, a host of female characters being voiced by men.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But it got me thinking about where the actual marketability there is. And I went, oh my God, it's non-binary. It's that direction. It's androgyny. It's who's going to be able to be that voice that makes everybody go, I don't know. I don't know. Are they male? Are they female?
Well,
Does
again,
it matter?
It's something it's something that causes us to, perk up and say, and gets our attention.
Yeah.
Very similar to how we need to market ourselves, right? How are you going to put yourself in front of, a million people and make yourself stand out? How is that going to happen?
Exactly. And it's taking your skill set and it's looking at what you can do and saying, okay, but again, where is that application? Where is this valuable to someone else?
Right.
And the minute you find that, run with it.
I don't think there's any value in stomping your foot on the ground and saying, I won't do this because it's not fair. And I know that we come so close to the line in, the fair rates discussion, the pay to play discussions about what is fair and right in our industry. And again, of course, there are things that are fair and there are things that are right. But sometimes stomping your foot on the ground and just complaining about it or refusing to flow does your business no good whatsoever.
Here's the thing. I hear you say it and I can't even picture it. Like, you are the least pouty person I know. So like the idea of you like stomping your feet and like having a temper tantrum, can't even picture it. So
yeah, I usually don't.
But
temper
no,
tantrum.
That's not you. That's me.
No, I don't usually pout.
I'm the one who'll throw the temper tantrum. Yeah. It's all broken. Everything's broken.
Guys, don't pout. So Gabby, what can we do? Here's the question. What can we do to evolve and go with the flow? What's an action step that we can take?
I'll tell you what it is for my business, and it's what works for me. There is no constant. There's no static element of my business. I don't allow there to be. Because the minute I become tied to, or I'm not even sure what the word is, but the minute I do that, I become unwilling to modify or to change or to move forward. So there is no constant. Nothing. Yeah. Nothing about my business is not up for change in an instant.
Sure, yeah.
And that's the way I have to keep it.
So there's no commitment to a specific...
Nope.
genre.
Nope.
It's a different story to market to your target market, right? And that's different than allowing yourself to be flexible in adapting and evolving and changing with what's happening. And there's a different trend coming up in voiceover in terms of sound, right? In terms of style, and also in terms of how people buy on the internet, all driven by technology. We were just talking about the younger generation hears things differently. They hear a voice differently, and that really dictates if they're going to be the ones that are going to be buyers. That's going to be dictating what we're going to be hearing out in the market.
No, you're absolutely right. And part of what goes along with that, I think, is remaining judgment free.
Yes.
The minute I meet another business owner who starts judging product or trends or, and it can be anything, right? I mean, if you sell clothes and you're going, oh my God, these kids and their freaking skinny jeans and, and you have an issue with that, you have a problem on your hands because you are not embracing.
Yeah, you're stomping your foot.
Right. What's happening in the market.
Exactly.
So that's a huge part of it. We have to take ourselves out of the equation and we have to
get off my lawn.
I mean, we've got to remain neutral. We can't become judgmental. We can't decide that suddenly we're going to start arguing with the clients and, no. What you're asking for, well, it doesn't sound good. Well, who the hell am I to say that?
Right.
Yeah.
And even amongst ourselves, we cannot afford to do that. We cannot afford to be in groups and be counterproductive and just say, no, I refuse to do this because, blank is taking over the world. Is it AI? Is it robots? Is it pay-to-plays? Is it what is the rates, Fiverr, whatever it is that's taking over the world, we've got to stop being complacent and stomping our feet. We're going to push ourselves towards the future. We're going to see what the trends are and how we can evolve our business with them. And if we can't, guess what? Then look for a new business.
Yeah, get out of the way.
Yeah, get out of the way.
Mark Scott today on his Facebook group, there was
great post.
You saw that? Okay,
yes, it was.
And he's so sweet. He's so apologetic, and he's so flippin' Canadian. And I'm like, would you just stop it? He's so sweet, and I'm like, dude, stop! Like, you don't need to do that. Like, don't apologize. You're running a ship, and you're keeping it tight.
He runs a great ship, by the way.
Telling everybody what the parameters are. But the reason he's doing it, and I mean, it's exactly what you just said, Ann. It's the counter-productivity. It's the bitching, the complaining. We fuel each other with that crap.
And by the way, I'll just give a plug for Mark. He's got one of the best Facebook groups out there, VOpreneurs. A lot of good stuff goes on there.
There is like a prime example. Like you and I could easily be standing here stomping our feet going, what he does is similar, and I don't know, and he's got VOpreneur, and we're VO boss, and we're like, who cares?
Well, and that's the thing, Gabby, you bring up such a great point, right? He does business, we do business. And
okay.
We've made ourselves unique in each one of our little business niches, if I should say, niche or niche. I happily support Mark, and Mark, happily supports us. And so it's all good. Really, you need to take a hard look at the industry and figure out how you can constructively maneuver within the industry. Otherwise, it's time to probably say goodbye. That's what I'm saying.
Well, thanks, guys, for joining us for another week.
I'm just going to say, Gabby, I know you say you don't commit, but marriage, internet, gang Google, all those things, IPDTL, right up there with things I commit to.
I've committed to you. I'll go ahead and say I've committed to IPDTL, all right?
There you go. We've committed. IPDTL allows us to connect and to deliver content every week that we want you guys to just love and like. Find out more at IPDTL.com.
And another company we are very committed to is, of course, voiceovers.com. We are backing them. We are behind them. We are ready to see the kinds of changes they're going to be making in the industry and what is to come in the future. Fair, efficient, transparent, voiceovers.com.
If you have not met Matt or read any of Matt's posts, go ahead and read them. He is right up front, very frank about everything that he's doing right now to make his product the best that it can be. Give a shout out and connect up with him as well. Okay, guys, have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Join us next week for another edition of VO Boss with your hosts, Ann Ganguza and Gabby Nistico. All rights reserved. Ann Ganguza voice talent in association with 3 Moon Media. Redistribution with permission. Coast-to-coast connectivity via IPDTL.